Berkhamsted is about 30 miles north of London on the A41. After the Normans invaded England and after the Battle of Hastings, they skirted round London towards Berkhamsted and then had a meeting with the Saxon chiefs. There has been some dispute about whether that meeting was here or in Little Berkhamsted, which is further to the east, but I think it's most likely here because after the meeting they would be able to get straight down to London on the A41. You've already seen something of Berkhamsted as we've approached from the south, but now we're going to have a look at one of the old cinemas. This cinema stood unused for some years, but has now been reopened and operates with a restaurant at the front and a cinema in the rear showing new and old films. Winston Churchill's wife-to-be, Miss Clementine Hosier, attended the Berkhamsted Girls' School and lived in this building while she was at that school. So, we'll be arriving shortly at St. Peter's Church, Berkhamsted, or as they sometimes like to call it round here, Great Berkhamsted. The present building was started in the early 13th century, though it has been much altered since, especially around 1870, and the building may incorporate parts of an older church. This font was new in 1870. Still looking towards the east end, can you see how one of these pillars is not circular? Two of the pillars on the other side of the name are similar, but nobody can remember why this is so. We now look at the ceiling above the crossing. The crossing now serves as chancel and sanctuary. The reredos behind the communion table is formed from the ancient rood screen. Behind it, the old chancel now serves as a vestry. We can see the location of this area on the plan. Just to the right, alongside the old chancel, we find St. Catherine's Chapel, restored around 1900 AD. The alabaster reredos and the stained glass window date from around this time. Also here are two medieval tomb recesses and several monuments dating from the 16th century commemorating members of the Waterhouse family. Turning to our right, we can see this window by Clayton and Bell at the end of the south transept. To the left of the old chancel is a space formed by the north transept and the Lady Chapel. William Cowper, or if you prefer, William Cowper, the poet and hymn writer, was born in Berkhamsted in 1731. You can find here at the end of the north transept a memorial to his grandmother, his mother, and 5 of his siblings who died in infancy. Turning to our left here, we can look along the north aisle. This window, based on Holman Hunt's painting The Light of the World, is by Heaton and Butler. The angels on the pulpit are the work of the West Country craftsman Harry Hems and date from 1910. You can find in this church many memorials which have been erected over the centuries. Some of them will remind you that nearby Berkhamsted Castle was a royal castle until 1495. Let's now look into St. John's Chantry. You can find here a brass plaque commemorating the parents of John Incent, Dean of St Paul's and founder in 1540 of Berkhamsted School. The organ is by Peter Collins and was completed in 1986. I'm told that our friend the good old Black Prince enjoyed living at Berkhamsted Castle. He presumably relaxed there after returning from the capture of Limoges and ordering every living thing in Limoges to be slaughtered. Another person you may have heard of is Francis Egerton, 3rd Duke of Bridgewater. He lived at Ashridge House just outside the town. He it was who started the building of canals in England. Ashlynn's School in Berkhamsted was built in 1935. It was built when the Thomas Coram Foundling Hospital relocated from London. General de Gaulle lived in Berkhamsted during World War II. Michael Hordern, the actor, was born in Berkhamsted, as were Esther Ranson and Nick Owen, the television presenters. As we look back now towards the West End and prepare to leave, can I just remind you again that there are lots more things to see here than we've been able to mention. But lastly, this window from the workshops of Heaton and Butler won a bronze medal at the Paris exhibition of 1867. This building here is known as the Courthouse, and this area here is a lot busier during the annual Petertide Fair than it is on a normal Sunday. On land adjacent to the church is Berkhamsted School. Today is an open day, which explains why peasants like me are able to have a look round inside. The present school was established in 1997 by the amalgamation of the original Berkhamsted School with Berkhamsted School for Girls, where Clementine Hosier went, and the prep school. On this visit we're going to concentrate mainly on the school chapel. I seem to think that this arrangement of the steps leading up to the altar is based on the arrangement in the Church of Santa Maria dei Miracoli in Venice. I have written to the school to enquire about this, but they obviously don't reply to peasants. Former pupils who you may have heard about, or at least who I have heard about, include Graham Greene the author, whose father was headmaster at the time, and Sir Hugh Greene, sometime Director General of the BBC. I don't know if these two were brothers. Also at school here were Sir Algernon Methuen, founder of the book publishers, Claude Coben, Peter Quennell and Patrick Hennessy, the authors. We could also mention Michael Meacher, Robin Knox-Johnston, Sarah Brightman, John Bly and of course Victor Sylvester.